One of the things I hate most about Donald Trump is how he changes time. I don't think anyone has actually really looked into how much Donald Trump can break time in people's minds. If you go back during the Trump administration, there will be moments where you'd wake up, you would open Twitter, and you would see the most shocking scandal you've ever heard, a scandal that would take out any presidency. And by noon, another scandal had replaced it, and by dinner time, we were talking about something else completely. We forget that a lot. The 4 years of the first Trump administration was an odd time, and part of that is because of how we as people have also had to drill back into what time on the internet means. Like, I don't know when you're watching this video. For me, I'm recording this video 1 week away from the election. I'm posting it like a couple days before the election. You could be seeing this long after the election. Hell, this could be my trial right now as Trump administration people who are now devotees of the God Emperor J.D. Vance are holding kangaroo trials to put us all into a camp. Like, I don't know. I don't know when this is going to be seen and by who. But that's the problem in general with the entire Trump universe. We don't know what is going to stick. And so all of us are constantly looking and nobody wants to grab onto one thing. So I figured out my moment. I figured out what I'm sticking with. And you already clicked on the thumbnail, so you already know too. I want to do a deep dive onto Donald Trump and that McDonald's in Bucks County because there's more to it. There's so much more to it. Hit the theme song.
Pearlmania, 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 500.
Anyway, it's a great time to be here. We're all having a wonderful time, right? No. Donald Trump went to a McDonald's, and that should not be a big deal because I think the more important thing is the same day he went to a McDonald's, I met AOC.
Service right here, AOC.
That's right. I met the Congresswoman, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and she was incredible. I saw her give a speech, and we were there to support union people and all of this different stuff. And a lot of the stuff ended up getting gobbled up by Trump from a distance. While we were in Philadelphia, Donald Trump was just north of Philadelphia in a place called Bucks County. He was cosplaying and dressing up as a McDonald's employee.
Halloween came early for Donald Trump.
He did this for one reason in particular. You see, the person he's running against, Kamala Harris, the current vice president of the United States, Donald Trump doesn't like her. There's a lot of different reasons why he doesn't like her, but a big part of what he is trying to claim as to why people should vote against her is he keeps constantly saying that she is not qualified to be the president of the United States. He points to her resume, and one of the things he often points to is that very, very early in her backstory, as she's talking about being raised by a middle-class parent and all this other different stuff, she talks about how her first job was at McDonald's. This is a move by the Harris campaign to let people know, like, hey, I'm like you. Donald Trump is rich. They not like us. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what she's trying to push. Donald Trump saw that as a weakness on his side, so he's tried to do a judo flip. He tries this a lot on a lot of different people, and he does it constantly, and the Republican Party in general does this a lot. In fact, Donald Trump's campaign manager, Chris LaCivatita, I think that's how you say his name. I don't know. He's Donald Trump's campaign manager this time because the last bunch got indicted and he had to end up giving them pardons at the end of his first term. Donald Trump's current campaign manager, though, did this move to John Kerry back in 2004. It's called Swiftboating, okay? I know, it's not Taylor Swift on a boat. No, that would be cool, and T-Pain would be there, and it would be so great. Oh, I wish Swiftboating was that. No, Swiftboating was in 2004 when George W. Bush was running against John Kerry, and John Kerry was running on the fact that he was a Vietnam veteran, while George W. Bush was a Vietnam draft dodger, who was still also the commander-in-chief now. So it was like, hey, I'm actually a real soldier and know what we should do in war versus a guy who was literally a cheerleader. So what did the George W. Bush campaign do? What they did was they claimed that, no, you weren't, to John Kerry. It was a thing called Swiftboating. It involved a book and a bunch of people who came forward and said that John Kerry was lying about his Purple Heart. It was a gross moment in American political history. None of us learned from it, and we've been repeating it ever since. But the Donald Trump campaign and Donald Trump himself love this move. And one of the things they've been trying to claim over and over and over again is that there's no proof that Kamala Harris ever worked at a McDonald's. That's right. They're trying to claim that Kamala Harris has stolen valor for McDonald's. So I also don't understand why. I don't know why you would hang your hat on this thing, but Trump has decided that's what he's gonna do. So what he did was he reached out and he said, I'm gonna work at McDonald's. And it was kind of a twofer thing because he also wants to show, oh, look at me, look how normal I am working at McDonald's. I'm just a regular guy. Ignore the fact that my only job has ever been being a landlord. Ignore the fact that I always say I'm not a politician, even though I've been working in politics for 9 years now. Ignore all this other stuff. No, I'm a normal guy like you. Look at me. I used to work at McDonald's. You know who didn't work at McDonald's? That lady over there. That's the whole claim, right? He reached out to some people. His campaign reached out to some people. He kept saying repeatedly he wanted to do it in Philadelphia, like in Philadelphia itself. Because he knows that Philadelphia is a Democratic stronghold, Trump wanted to go there and then show, hey, look, I'm here, I'm a regular guy, and look, Philadelphians love me. Now, the thing is he was never gonna go to Philadelphia because every time he does, he gets booed and it's difficult for him to actually fill arenas. Instead, he went just north of Philadelphia to a place called Bucks County. This is full of a lot of rich people and a lot of rich Republicans up there. He specifically went to the McDonald's in Feasterville, Trevose, which is right off of the highway. So he was very happy because he could just pop in and pop out really, really fast. And that's exactly what he did. In fact, he went to the McDonald's, walked in the door, did not wash his hands, did not put on gloves, did not put on a hairnet, and then he was there for approximately 31 minutes. Donald Trump then did something that was actually very weird, which is he actually paid attention. I've seen Donald Trump footage like my whole life now, and if it isn't him staring at women with Jeffrey Epstein, he typically is wandering. Donald Trump is an iPad kid. We should be clear about that. It's very difficult to hold his attention, okay? Woohoo! Over here, do I have keys? No, I've lost the president's attention. In fact, while he was president, they used to say repeatedly that the president's daily brief was a difficult thing for people to actually explain to him because they were like, no. He doesn't understand. We had to put more charts and pictures in because if there's a full paragraph, it's done. So seeing Donald Trump wearing an apron.
How are you? You're so wealthy guy.
Whoa, mommy milkers on the... Fuck, why'd I say that? That was tied around him. And then standing in front of a fryer as he's being taught. This is such a missed opportunity because the first thing you're supposed to do with a deep fryer is fill the basket with ice to clean it. That's what this dude should have started there. Be like, we gotta fill it with ice and dump it. It would have been incredible. Bro. It's the deepest introspection this man has ever had. There are moments during this where Donald Trump is staring into the fry grease and contemplating stuff for the first time. It's the only time I've ever actually seen him have a thought, and he's looking into the fry grease the way a man in the woods would stare into a campfire. He's mesmerized by it. He's transfixed. It's incredible. And he listens with a lot of intent to the man training him how to work the fry station. Now, yes, there is a moment where right after the guy completely explains how to use the fry station properly, Donald Trump just does the opposite. It's incredible.
Now we're gonna bring that basket far right, all the way over to the right, and hang it right up there.
Yo, I respect this dude for even not even letting him out with the process. He's no, that basket goes to the far right, sir. Just like your policies. He then stood over by the drive-thru and he took a bunch of random people, and gave them their orders. These were not random people. Every single person and every single car that pulled up was staged. These were all hand-picked people by the Trump campaign, and these are local Republicans who are trying to present themselves as undecided voters.
What a good-looking family. Hello, how are you? What a beautiful woman.
Every single part of this entire experience was staged. In fact, it's very similar to something called a Potemkin village. A Potemkin village is from Tsarist Russia, okay? A guy who used to bang Catherine the Great. I know, we're getting off on a little bit of a side here, but people like this for some reason. But a guy who used to bang Catherine the Great, his name was Grigory Potemkin. He used to build fake villages along a river. So when people and dignitaries and even the Empress herself would ride down this river, they would see, oh, look how nice the villages are here. I guess Russia's really coming along. They were all fake. There was nobody living in them. And in some cases, they claimed later that they were portable villages. So they just kept moving them down the row. That's what that means. But this McDonald's was a Potemkin village. Everything about it, from the customers to the employees was set up as a giant photo op, which is fine. That's fine. But that isn't the same as working a day as a McDonald's employee. Specifically, as working a day as a McDonald's employee, working for the owner of this specific McDonald's. The owner of this McDonald's is named Derek Giacomantonio. Derek Giacomantonio. Derek Giacomantonio. There we go. Derek Giacomantonio. There we go. We gotta get Giacomantonio. Anyway, Derek owns this McDonald's and a few other McDonald's. And the thing about Derek is Derek doesn't like to pay his employees a lot. If Derek could pay his employees less, he would. He would 100% pay his employees less. He hates paying his employees. He goes out of his way specifically to lobby the state government of Pennsylvania to not raise the minimum wage. Oh, I know what you're thinking. How do you know that? Here's the document. This is Derek right here. He wrote his name on it. It's Derek Giacomantonio saying, don't raise the minimum wage. Now, why is he saying this and why is this happening? Because Derek, like many people who have businesses of this size, like to claim that it's a small business, but then want to deny the fact that they actually are hiring tens of hundreds of employees, and by doing so are also now changing the lives and the future of tens of hundreds, if not 1,000 families. Because everyone who works someplace has somebody else in their life, right? So if I'm paying somebody minimum wage, they only have minimum wage to be able to support their kids, to be able to support their parents, to be able to support the school district, to be able to support all these different things. Guys like Derek are members of organizations, and they will send out form letters repeatedly to politicians. And in this case, this form letter was being sent to Pennsylvania rulemaking bodies to go against a raise in the minimum wage, and it was received in July of 2018. Here is the letter without anything filled in it, because Trudy down here at the bottom never wrote her name in it. The owners of some of these businesses are so lazy, they couldn't actually complete the form letter. It's not even his words. He just puts other people's words in his own mouth. Derek's employees at other McDonald's have gone to the streets. They've taken to the streets to protest him and how he has gotten in the way of Pennsylvania raising the minimum wage. Every state around Pennsylvania has raised the minimum wage. Derek is one of the people who has been out here keeping the minimum wage at $7.25 a f***ing hour. It's been that way since 2009, Derek. And all you do is take that money, and what do you do with it? Not pay to your f***ing employees. Derek invited Donald Trump. Now, why did Derek invite Donald Trump? Specifically, he did it because of this man, Jim Worthington. There he is. Jim's the one with the hairline. Derek's the one in the wrinkled suit. Now, Jim Worthington was behind this because Jim Worthington is behind a lot of Republican stuff, specifically in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. In fact, he posted on his Facebook about how honored he was to be able to set this entire thing up. Here's a picture right here of Jim Worthington with Donald Trump and some other family members and stuff like that, saying that he was honored to be asked by President Trump and his team to find a McDonald's in Pennsylvania for him to visit and cook fries, and that how he went through all the different things to be connected to the owner and all of the other different parts of this. Jim Worthington is what I'd like to call a divisive figure in Bucks County. He is the owner of the Newtown Athletics Club, also known as the NAC. This is a very well-known gym in Bucks County. Jim Worthington is also a Republican organizer, and he was a delegate to the 2024 Republican National Convention, where he was the captain for the Pennsylvania Republican delegation. Jim Worthington also very litigious, sues a lot of people, okay? He really like a sue, okay? He likes to hit people with a lawsuit if he doesn't like what you say about him, which is fine. That's his right as a rich person in this country to silence people through lawsuits. Jim Worthington sued local activists and MoveOn.org in 2021. and specifically April of 2021. Now, why did he do that? That's because in the days leading up to January 6, 2021, Jim's organization, known as People for Trump, organized buses to go down to Washington, D.C. to listen to a Trump speech. Now, what date was the Trump speech on? The Trump speech was on January 6, 2021. The Move On petition alleged that Jim Worthington himself and the Newtown Athletic Club, which he pays for, they stated in many posts, I'm not saying this, they said it, that Jim Worthington was the one who was funding rioters to go down. Jim sued them over this, and eventually it was settled out of court. Afterwards, Jim stated repeatedly that he was supporting people to go down to listen to the Donald Trump speech that happened before the riots. He is taking the Chris Jericho's wife detour. The Chris Jericho's wife defense.
Whoa. Quiet. 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 Quiet.
Jim claimed that this tarnished his reputation. He originally sued for $50,000, and after the settlement was eventually given to a charity that is being run by Jim Worthington. Now, the other crazy part, though, is if you Google Jim Worthington, you might get Jim Worthington Jr., which is his son. And Jim Worthington Jr. is really, really well known in Bucks County because he bit a man's ear off during a bar fight. Yeah, that's true. That happened back in 2014, a decade ago. Jim Worthington Jr. was working at the Knack at the time. He was listed as a Newtown fitness trainer, and he got into a scrap with someone at a local bar on St. Patrick's Day, and he bit the man's ear off during the bar fight. However, it did come out during the trial that Jim Worthington Jr., as the prosecutor pointed out, Jim Worthington Jr. has a pretty dark side to him. He referenced the fact that Jim Worthington Jr. is an amateur boxer who has a tattoo of Hannibal Lecter, and at that time had a pit bull named Tyson who was named after Mike Tyson. This was all in the trial, okay? This is court documents. So there we go. We have Bucks County, rich and powerful, connected, trying to keep down the minimum wage, allowing Donald Trump to be brought in so that he can pretend that the resume of Kamala Harris isn't real. I don't know. It's broken. It's all fake. It's all codes, man. But the thing is that what really set off for me after this was something that happened days after Donald Trump went to McDonald's. And that is the massive E. coli outbreak that made McDonald's stop serving Big Macs. That's right. While Donald Trump entered that McDonald's, I would like to point out something. He never washed his hands. He never put on gloves. He never wore a hairnet, which are all things that this exact McDonald's location had failed health inspections for. Donald Trump went into a McDonald's, and within days, McDonald's had a massive E. coli outbreak. This is insane. And then I started looking deeper into it, and I realized something. Donald Trump is not just a failed businessman. Donald Trump is not just a bigot. Donald Trump is not just banned from being able to do business in New York or be able to run a charity. No, Donald Trump is actually a demon prince of the chaos god Nurgle. Grandfather Nurgle has risen. Grandfather Nurgle's plague has been spread. Donald Trump is one with the plague lord. For those of you guys who don't know, Nurgle is the chaos god of filth and disease and life and death. Grandfather Nurgle sees all. And Donald Trump goes hand in hand with spreading disease. I'm not gonna go just into the fact that Donald Trump is the one who made sure that we didn't have the protections in place to see COVID-19 coming before it happened. I'm not gonna go into the one that Donald Trump pushed aside all of the warnings about COVID-19 before they came to the United States. I'm not gonna go into the fact that Donald Trump, when COVID-19 hit the United States, took personal protective equipment and had his own son-in-law, Jared Kushner, sell them off rapidly, and that we actually had enough equipment, but he wasn't getting it to the hospitals. I'm not going to point out the fact that Donald Trump took important COVID-19 testing equipment that needed to be used here in the United States and sent it directly to Vladimir Putin. That came out recently. No, I'm not going to bring any of that stuff up. What I want to point out even more is that Donald Trump has gone out of his way to roll back food safety and FDA enforcement during his first term. Donald Trump went over and over and over again trying to make it easier for the meatpacking industry and other industries to not have to be regulated. He claimed that these regulations were keeping prices up, but in fact, they were keeping us safe. The reason we have so many outbreaks now are because of actions taken during the Donald Trump administration, so many of which we don't even have a full grasp of how many we have to draw back. The FDA was created to make sure that we weren't buying poisoned meat and poisoned food in our grocery store. The reason why you can just go grab a pack of beef and go throw them right on the grill is because it has an FDA stamp and it's been checked by FDA investigators. Donald Trump and his friends, who he is surrounded by, all believe that that is just too much. It's a waste of time. Don't worry about it. Donald Trump has stated that he wants Robert F. Kennedy to be the one to be in charge of things like the FDA, our hospitals, and food in particular. Robert F. Kennedy, who literally eats roadkill. He grabbed a fucking bear off the side of the road and drove it into New York. And his exact words was, "That's gonna be good eating. Oh my God, we're in hell."
And you can do that in New York State. You can get a bear tag for a roadkill bear.
Donald Trump is Nurgle. I've looked at every other chaos god doesn't make sense. There's no way that Donald Trump is Corn. No, not Corn the band. Corn. Blood for the blood god. I mean, skulls for the skull throne. That guy, that's the god of war and rage and fighting and all that other stuff. That's not Donald Trump. Donald Trump's never actually fought. Donald Trump is not a devotee of Tzeentch, the chaos god of plans. He's a bird guy. Ooh, look at me. I have so many plans. Donald Trump doesn't have plans. He has concepts of plans. And I will be f***ed if I live in a world where Donald Trump is a fucking devotee of Slanesh, okay? Slanesh is about f***ing and weird shit, and it gets kind of odd. We're not even gonna win it. Do not Google Donald Trump Rule 34 Slanesh. Don't do it. The only time you should type in Donald Trump in 34 is when we're talking about convictions. Stay away from Donald Trump Rule 34. Don't do it. So in conclusion, I don't know when you're watching this. I don't know if this is being played at my trial. I don't know if the world isn't bathed in hellfire and plague and nuclear bomb fallout or anything else. I don't know any of the different things that are going on. So, I'm hoping that things have actually worked out. And so whenever you're seeing this, that you have the ability to like and subscribe and comment. Is there any topics you want to hear me do a deeper dive on? Because I know for a fact that I'm having too much, I'm going too deep. You know what I mean? So anyway, there's some other videos. You guys have a good one. I guess it's going to be... Whoa, if you're watching this before the election, good luck.